The naked is Hollywood. The naked blonde writers. Hollywood bus stop.
Coming to Bob every morning to Hollywood to get a beautiful pussy of yours. I want you to be ripped off. That's the part of being Los Angeles. From Hollywood. From Hollywood. You know, you want Hollywood. Oh, crazy girl. Dream is a terrible thing to break. Crazy girl. You can never change Hollywood.
The naked blonde writer bus stop. Dark side of Tinsel town. The naked blonde writers Hollywood bus stop. The dark side of Tinseltown. Prologue. I'm sitting beside the pool at the Hollywood Roosevelt Hotel, and I'm waiting like I always did in Hollywood. Los Angeles overhead is its usual flawless blue, as if some cosmetic sky surgeon has removed all clouds and creases of grey. Palm trees stretch upward, desperate for rain, but no rain will come. We will all remain dry here. I know that now. Star after star after star will stay pink and dry on the boulevard. The boulevard. That's Hollywood Boulevard, to those of you who have not lived through it. We, the survivors, haughtily refer to her as the boulevard, as if there were no other street in the world. Where is he? I know he's here somewhere. Look at this crowd. I know what he'd say about them. He'd say, "How can there be so many goddamn beautiful women in this town? Don't they realize how long they're going to last in Hollywood? They'll last until 11 o'clock in the morning, because there is another bus arriving full of beautiful women to replace them. Goddamn prima donnas. They don't know how to play the game."
How to play the game. Do this. How to play the game. Play the game.
That's him speaking back in 1995, during the filming of The Hollywood Bus Stop. No one has ever seen it, and I've got the footage. At the table next to me sits a peroxide blonde in less than a bikini. She is starvation thin, save for her huge, unmoving breasts. On her lap sits a tiny pink poodle. In her mind, she's Jane Mansfield. She's Jane Mansfield. Though Jane is long gone, I have not forgotten. For Marilyn, for Jane, for Jean, for Greta, and every other blonde who dared to weather the tempest of Hollywood's mercurial waves. For those, I suppose, and for other reasons too, I am now writing this for you. 15 years have passed by for me. Now, where the fuck is he? I read somewhere that leaving Los Angeles is like giving up heroin, and as I sit here, trying not to stare too hard at Jane, I can feel the junk slowly creeping back into my veins. Oh, please, please, God of lost angels, please don't let it get me again.
From Hollywood.
His name was Gilson Simoys. Everyone called him Gil, and in a town oft nicknamed Holy weird. Gil was the weirdest of them all. I got to Hollywood on June 1st, 1994. Marilyn Monroe would have been 68 had she made it on that day. Her star is outside McDonald's. Gil walked over Marilyn every day for 20 years on his way to get a cheeseburger, the only food he could chew. Gilson Simoes. Gilson. Gil. Come back to the boulevard, you mad lizard in the stars. Come back, Gil. I am a woman now, intelligent behind my furrowed brow, and I can write books. This story is yours, you goddamn prima donna. I've travelled 5,000 miles to write this out. I know you're here somewhere, Gil. Now, talk to me. The DJ beside the Roosevelt pool is high on some new Hollywood drug and has turned up his volume even higher so that we can all hear, loud and clear, Peaches singing her masterpiece, Fuck the Pain Away. I have never heard the song before, but it fits the scene perfectly. An insignificant afternoon in March of 2009, except that here in Hollywood every moment is significant and surreal. Every Hollywood hour always was stupefying, as I recall, and now the beautiful people begin undressing to the teachers of Peaches, and I find myself hiding behind John Fante's Ask the Dust. What a writer! What a book! How I wanted to cry out when Arturo Bandini shouted, "Los Angeles, give me some of you." I wonder if any of these hideously handsome Hollywood types have read Ask the Dust. How can one read in this chaos with Peaches shouting, "Fuck the pain away"? Why am I even trying to read? What am I doing here? I thought Hollywood had reached its nadir 15 years ago, but this... The backside of the boulevard has plummeted to new depths in my absence. It's no use reading books. John Fante's Los Angeles is not, nor ever was, my Los Angeles. What I see before me is more Dante than Fante. Jane Mansfield is struggling to articulate above the racket. The flawless waiter stands by, his waistcoat buttons polished, shimmering. She wants a strawberry daiquiri for herself and a saucer of avian water for the poodle. Her voice is strictly silent movie, one of those actresses who didn't survive the jump into talkies. And all of a sudden comes an uprising of tears, a secret testimony to an overwhelming desire to take Jane Mansfield in my arms, hold her softer than she has ever been held before, and to drown out Peaches by saying something soft, like, "It's okay, Jane. Whatever your real name, you can be yourself now. It's all over, Jane. The Hollywood nightmare is done. And I promise you, dear, innocent Jane, no one will ever try to steal your soul or hurt you again." And Peaches keeps on, sucking on my titties like you wanted me, calling me, and the beat is contagious, and if I had half a soul, or the newest Hollywood drug, then I too would strip and jump into the pool. But here in Hollywood, I learned early on, it was better to keep my clothes on. They were all fucking the pain away, those gorgeous bodies just fucking the fucking pain away at 2 in the afternoon, and here I was, waiting for Gilson Simoys, dying for the past while compelled by the now, transfixed at the sight of just how low it is possible in Hollywood to go.
To 11 o'clock in the morning. You've been so high. And so you came to a terrible thing to break, but they don't listen to the game. This is another bus right 11 o'clock in the morning. You never change Hollywood. So very few people make their last dollar.
I got to Hollywood on a one-way plane ticket paid for with stolen money. I had $300 American in cash and no other money in the world. In a small bag I brought with me one blue silk dress and a portfolio of photographs taken while I had struggled to become some sort of model, while I had struggled to study French and Italian, then struggled to transfer to King's College for literature because of what James Joyce and Marion Tweedy, otherwise known as Molly Bloom, had done to my developing brain. But even though it was agreed that I knew Ulysses, I struggled to get out of bed for lectures because I was struggling with what LA eventually taught me was called alcoholism. The modelling I did was usually naked but rarely paid. These and other impecunious pursuits kept me in vodka until I finally jumped overboard to the la-la land of dreams. To Hollywood I also brought a demo tape of 2 songs I had recorded in London, songs which had not quite earned the record deal to which I felt entitled, even though I could not sing, and had been coaxed into a band only because the musicians felt that blonde hair and a big mouth and even bigger nipples would attract the attention needed for fame's sake. Most importantly, in that little bag, I carried a surfeit of childhood dreams. Dreams born from the motion pictures that brought me through a childhood I can only conclude was irreconcilable. By the age of 10 I was certain that Hollywood was my true home, and that even though I had never been there, Hollywood was incomplete without me. I tore out a page from my school book, and on the paper I wrote, "Please give me a one-way ticket to Hollywood, please." I hid the note in a special place for wishes which only little girls know about, because even though Dorothy said there was no place like home, and even though Miss Scarlet wanted to go back to Tara, I knew that my home was Hollywood. One day Mother found my secret note, and she laughed at me. I took the note to a better hiding place, and I said in a whisper, "I will get to Hollywood. One day I will get to Hollywood, and when I get to Hollywood I will be famous, and then when I am famous I will feel okay." I wanted to be just like Marilyn Monroe. On the back of a book about her I saw an address, Roger Richman Agency, Los Angeles, California. I went in secret to the post office. My letter said something like, "Dear Roger Richman, this is a very urgent letter. I need to be famous or I will die. I need to be as famous as Marilyn Monroe. I am 11 years old and I am very unhappy because I am stranded in England, but I am supposed to be in Hollywood. I do not have time to slowly climb the ladder to success. I need to be rocketed into the fame dimension now. Please can you bring me to Hollywood as soon as possible? I know I am meant to be there with you. Please write back to me very soon. Here is my address. Yours sincerely, Tracy Williams." When the letter came back with a sticker on it saying, "Return to sender, not known at this address," I took to my bed for weeks, watching Valley of the Dolls on a little black and white portable television. I knew that the pills those beautiful American women were taking would help me feel okay, but Mother told me to snap out of it because depressed was too big a word for such a crot of a kid. With our very first video recorder, I would rewind one scene from a documentary about Marilyn in a film called Bus Stop. I watched that scene over and over and over again, She was sitting in a window frame in her fishnets and stiletto heels. Her blonde head was downcast, and her face was fragile perfection. Her delicate hand had dropped in exhaustion to her side. She was as lost as a broken flower, and I knew her despair. I was a lot younger than her, but I already knew her sadness because it was always in my heart too. In the film, her name was Sherry, which means dear one. Sherry had a map, and on that map was Sherry's direction. And a few minutes later, in that same scene, Sherry showed her map to her friend and said, "Look, where I'm going, Hollywood and Vine." And I rewound the scene again, and I watched Marilyn Monroe's beauty ignite as she said, "Hollywood and Vine." And when she said Hollywood and Vine, I knew that I too could feel that same joy if I could also go to Hollywood and Vine. She had changed her name from Norma Jean to Marilyn Monroe, and so I would change my name too. At first I decided to call myself Roxanne. I later changed my name to Cherry, and even later to Sasha. But by the time I finally arrived in Hollywood, I was just plain Tracy again. It was not until 1999, at the Egyptian Theatre on Hollywood Boulevard, that I saw Josh Logan's movie Bus Stop. I watched incredulous as Cherie, my childhood idol, abandoned her Hollywood dream for a cowboy and a farm. Patronizing propaganda. I was furious with that shattered illusion. But that was 1999, and Marilyn's Bus Stop was released the day before her birthday, back in 1956, and now it's 2021, and women don't throw anything away for any man anymore. I am no longer sure if this can be called progress. In the Hollywood Bus Stop of 1995, Gilson asserts that a war zone is safer than Hollywood for a girl. In a war zone, he says, you get an army on your side, you get a gun, you get a bulletproof vest, and all the other garbage. In Hollywood, you got no protection. Young girls come here because they want to get famous. I don't know for what reason. They think because they got a good pair of legs and a beautiful ass, they're going to get famous, and they spend their last dollar. But they don't know how to play the game. Kids came to Gilson's casting from all over the world. Fragmented, lost kids with heart-aching dreams, a never-ending procession of cavalier innocence. I, too, was a lost kid when I arrived, but in my mind I was a woman who, like Marilyn, just wanted to be wonderful. They have no compassion, Gilson would yell as he held up a newspaper clipping concerning the most recent suicide of another Hollywood starlet. While some jumped from the Hollywood sign, others copulated under it. We fucked standing up, hanging onto the fence, faking orgasms for an imagined audience before we plunged to a self-inflicted or petty death, as unwilling to yield to reality as Macbeth. Maybe my ego was too big to be accommodated by a culture so subsumed in pessimism. Those sibilant 4 syllables encapsulating the message we British bequeath to our babies. It can't be done. No one was ever going to take me to Hollywood. I knew that. No one was going to send me to drama school, and no one was going to arrange singing lessons for me. The best I could hope for was a painless transition from school to a factory, to marriage, to motherhood, then death. A life in blackout, at best. I was 11 years old when I made my vow to get to Hollywood. I was 22 when I arrived. No one would ever understand why I had to go, and so I did not tell anyone, except for this Dutch boy with whom I was apparently living. He said he loved me, and I said I loved him, but nothing hurt more than love, and I was not fit for human consumption. I had been crying and drinking and dying non-stop for about a month when he took me on his knee and said, "Where's the Tracy I fell in love with?" I hid my face in his neck and cried and cried. He said, "What are you most afraid of doing, but would really like to do?" He had read a lot of Hermann Hesse and Friedrich Nietzsche too. I was choking on my tears, but I was able to say, "I want to go to Hollywood." It was April, the cruelest month, 1994. Reading T.S. Eliot night after day was not helping to heal the wasteland inside and out. About 6 weeks later, that Dutch boy drove me all the way to Heathrow Airport with tears in his eyes. I often console myself with the notion that I can't be all that bad to have attracted minds like his.
Do you know how many girls come in the bus every morning to Hollywood? Gonna last until 11 o'clock in the morning.
And thus is this prologue.
This story is not about
Thus is this
this prologue almost said and done. There is only one more crucial point
to make absolutely clear.
This story
This story
is not about
me. This story is not about me. And thus is this prologue said and done. This story is not about me. This story is not about me. Copyright Naked Blonde Writer 2021.